We're just going to look at a story today that is, it is difficult to categorize.
It really is.
Yeah, it's right at this intersection of Hollywood ambition and the really dark realities of the American penal system.
Mm-hmm.
It is a story about the masks people wear,
Yeah.
and what happens when the mask starts to kind of eat into the face.
That is a very apt way to frame it.
Right. So we are talking about Lloyd Avery II. And if you mention that name at a dinner party, you might get blank stares.
You likely would.
But if you describe a very specific scene from 1991,
Mm-hmm.
almost everyone knows exactly who you were talking about.
It is arguably one of the most recognizable sequences in modern cinema.
Exactly. We are talking about Boyz in the Hood, John Singleton's debut.
Yes.
There's that moment, that pivotal moment that just changes the entire tone of the film.
Right.
Ricky Baker's the high school football star.
The character with the scholarship.
Right. The kid with the ticket out.
Mm-hmm.
He is running down an alley.
Yep.
A red car pulls up, and leaning out the window is a young man with a shotgun. He does not say much. He just pulls the trigger.
That character is credited simply as Knucklehead number 2.
Just knucklehead number 2.
Correct. And the actor holding the weapon in that scene was Lloyd Avery II.
It is a scene that defines the tragedy of urban violence for an entire generation of moviegoers.
It had a massive cultural impact.
It really did. And in the film, Avery's character is the villain. He is the destroyer of potential.
Mm-hmm.
And later in that same movie, Ice Cube's character, Doughboy, hunts him down and kills him in a fast food parking lot.
It forms a closed loop of retaliation within the narrative.
Exactly. Violence begets violence. It was scripted, shot, edited, and put in theaters.
Yes.
But here is where the story we were looking at today shifts from film history to something much more disturbing.
The reality of his life.
Right. The man who played that killer, who was killed in the movie in retaliation, eventually ended up walking that exact path in real life.
The parallels are statistically improbable.
Improbable is an understatement.
Lloyd Avery II eventually became a convicted double murderer in the real world.
Yeah.
He was convicted, sentenced to life in prison, and then in a final grim echo of his fiction, he was murdered himself while in custody.
It sounds like an urban legend. It sounds like something someone made up to scare young actors.
But it is documented fact.
It is.
Yeah.
And what we want to do today for you listening is not just look at the wow factor of that coincidence.
We need to analyze the trajectory.
Right. Our mission today is to understand that trajectory. How does a young man go from an affluent upbringing? And we will get to that because it is a massive piece of this puzzle.
It completely reframes the narrative.
It really does.
Yeah.
How does he go from that to a supermax prison cell? We are going to trace his life from his birth in Los Angeles to his death in Crescent City.
And we will also look at the recent activities of the man who killed him, focusing on updates from 2024.
Exactly. We are covering the facts of his life, his career, and his violent death without relying on the sensationalism.
To establish the baseline for the timeline, Lloyd Avery II was born on June 21st, 1969.
In Los Angeles.
Yes, in Los Angeles, California. And he died on September 4th, 2005 in Crescent City, California.
So he was 36.
He was exactly 36 years old at the time of his death.
36. I mean, that is no age at all. That is barely the middle of a life.
Statistically, yes.
And yet, in those 3.5 decades, he lived 2 completely contradictory existences.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest misconception people have about Avery, especially because of how convincing he was in Boyz in the Hood, is that he was essentially playing himself.
That is a very common assumption regarding actors in gritty realism films.
Right, you see him on screen, he has that cold stare, he has that specific posture, and you just naturally, okay, Singleton went to the streets and found a guy who lives this life.
The biographical data completely refutes that assumption.
Entirely.
Lloyd Avery II was not a product of the inner city struggle that was depicted in that film.
No, he was not.
His background was significantly more privileged.
Let us unpack that early life, because this is where the whole method acting concept takes a really dark turn.
He grew up in View Park.
View Park. Now, for you listening, if you are not familiar with Los Angeles real estate or the social geography of the city, View Park is not just a nice neighborhood.
It has a very specific and affluent demographic profile.
Right, it has a heavy cultural weight.
View Park, along with adjacent areas like Baldwin Hills and Ladera Heights, is frequently referred to in sociological contexts as the Black Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
It is an affluent, mostly African-American neighborhood in Los Angeles.
Historically, this is where the elite of Black Los Angeles resided, right?
Correct. Doctors, lawyers, entertainers, and business owners. The area is characterized by large, custom-built homes, often with swimming pools and manicured lawns.
So it is geographically and socioeconomically completely distinct from the South Central environments shown in those 1990s crime dramas.
Slightly distinct.
So he is growing up in a house with a pool surrounded by professionals.
Yes. His family structure was very stable.
Right. His parents were not absent. His father, Lloyd Avery Sr., was a self-employed service technician.
He was a business owner.
A business owner, exactly.
Go
And
on.
his mother, Linda Avery, she started as a stay-at-home mom and later worked for a bank.
He also had 3 siblings, 2 brothers and 1 sister.
This is the picture of the American dream. It is stable, it is upwardly mobile, it is middle to upper class.
The stability of his early environment is further evidenced by his education.
Yeah, this is the part that really surprised me.
He did not attend a local public school that was struggling with funding. He was enrolled at Beverly Hills High School.
Beverly Hills High School, I mean, that is a brand name all by itself.
It is a highly resourced institution.
It is. This is the school that has produced Nobel laureates and Oscar winners.
Mm-hmm.
It is famous for its swim gym, where the basketball court opens up to reveal a pool underneath.
And his extracurricular activities there further illustrate his background.
Right, he was an athlete.
Yeah.
But not just the standard sports.
He played baseball, but notably, he was heavily involved in water polo.
Water polo.
Yes. Sociologically, water polo is a sport that requires specific infrastructure.
You need a pool.
You need access to a pool, you need specialized coaching. It is traditionally associated with affluent coastal communities.
Right. It is not a sport you typically find accessible to youth in underserved neighborhoods.
Exactly.
So imagine the contrast here. You have this kid playing water polo at Beverly Hills High School.
Mm-hmm.
And just a few years later, he is playing one of the most notorious gang members in modern cinema history.
It is a stark dichotomy.
And it was not just the sports, it was his social circle. Who you hang out with says a lot about where you are in the hierarchy.
His peer group in high school was quite high profile.
Very high profile. Lloyd Avery II was friends with the children of some major industry figures.
He was friends with the children of Smokey Robinson.
The legendary singer.
Yes. He was also close with the children of music producer Quincy Jones and music executive Clarence Avant.
Clarence Avant, known as the godfather of black music. Yeah. So if you are in that circle, you are at the absolute center of Hollywood aristocracy.
He had direct proximity to the highest levels of the entertainment industry.
You are going to parties at estates. You are seeing the music and film industry from the inside, from the top down.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a kid looking in from the outside, dreaming it away out of the hood. He is already out. He is in the VIP section before he even graduates high school.
Following his graduation, he pursued post-secondary education. He briefly attended Los Angeles Trade Technical College.
Right. And what was he focusing on there?
Before his acting career materialized, his primary aspiration was to have a career in music.
Which makes perfect sense when you think about it. If you are hanging out with Quincy Jones's family music, is the language you speak.
It was a logical career path given his network.
Exactly. He wanted to be a part of that world. But Hollywood has a way of pulling people in. And this is where the connection to John Singleton comes into play. Because it was not a random audition, right?
No, it was a personal connection. Avery became acquainted with director John Singleton while Singleton was still a film student.
At the University of Southern California, USC.
Correct. This was before the production of Boyz in the Hood.
So Singleton is at USC, which is a very prestigious film school. Avery is in these high-level social circles in Los Angeles. They meet.
Yes.
And then Singleton writes this script, Boyz in the Hood, a script that is raw and captures the reality of Los Angeles in a way that had not really been done before.
He wrote and directed the film for a 1991 release.
And he casts his friend, the water polo player from Beverly Hills High, to play the ultimate street soldier.
Avery was cast in a minor but pivotal role.
Pivotal is the key word there.
His screen time is limited, but his action of pulling the trigger is the catalyst for the entire third act of the film.
And when that movie came out in 1991, it was a cultural earthquake.
It received critical acclaim and commercial success.
Standing ovations in theaters. It put the West Coast on the map in a completely different way for cinema.
And it had a direct impact on Avery's professional life.
It was his golden ticket.
The success of the film allowed him to obtain an agent, and he began auditioning frequently.
Right. He was instantly a known face in the industry.
Interestingly, his immediate subsequent roles were not exclusively within the crime genre.
Yeah, this is a detail that contrasts so sharply with his film debut.
Hmm.
In 1992, he actually landed a short stint on television.
He appeared on the hit series Doogie Howser, MD.
Doogie Howser.
In a 1992 episode titled Dangerous Reunions,
Right.
he played a character named Red.
So he is on a network medical dramedy.
Ah.
It shows that he had range, or at least that the industry was willing to see him in different lights early on.
He also continued to pursue his music aspirations concurrently.
That trade tech background paying off.
Yes. He successfully moved into music production. He produced the lead single for singer and actress Tisha Campbell's debut album.
Tisha Campbell.
The track was titled Push.
And Push was not an obscure track. It had real cultural presence.
It was featured in an episode of the popular sitcom Martin.
Right, Martin was one of the biggest sitcoms of the 90s. So look at his resume by around 1993. He is in his early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
He has a credit in an Oscar-nominated film. He has a guest spot on a hit network television drama.
And a production credit on a commercially released song.
Exactly. By any metric, Lloyd Avery II is succeeding. He is on his way up.
However, an analysis of his filmography indicates a distinct pattern of typecasting that began to emerge shortly after this period.
The curse of doing a job too well.
Precisely. Casting directors seemingly began to associate him exclusively with the archetype he portrayed in his debut.
He was so convincing as that killer that they just could not see him as the water polo player or the music producer anymore.
In 1993, John Singleton cast him again.
In Poetic Justice.
Correct. The film starred Janet Jackson and Tupac Shakur. In the credits for this film, Avery's character is officially listed as Thug Number 1.
Thug Number 1. It strips away the identity completely. It is literally just a category.
This pattern of marginal but highly specific roles continued throughout the late 90s.
Let us run through some of those roles, because the themes are very clear.
In 1996, he had a role in the film Don't Be a Menace to South Central While Drinking Your Juice in the Hood.
The Wayans brothers' spoof film.
Yes. His role was uncredited, and he was categorized as Guy in Backseat.
Guy in Backseat. That is almost metafictional. He is practically parodying his own role from Boyz in the Hood.
It is a direct visual reference to his initial famous scene.
Right, because he was the guy in the backseat in the serious movie. It is like the industry was treating his specific look as a very limited commodity.
Then, in 1999, he appeared in a film called The Breaks.
And his credit there.
He had an uncredited role listed as Man in Jail.
Man in Jail. It is haunting when you look at it in retrospect. The roles are getting grittier and more confined.
The titles and roles of his subsequent projects carry a strong sense of foreshadowing, especially as we move into the 2000s.
Yeah, the titles alone are heavy.
In 2000, he starred in a film titled Lockdown.
Lockdown.
He played a character named Nate. And then in 2001, he appeared in a film titled Shot, playing a character named G-Ride.
Shot. Lockdown. Man in Jail. Thug Number 1.
He was consistently active in the industry from 1990 to 2001.
Right, working effectively right up until his arrest. That is over a decade of consistent work.
He was a continuously working actor.
But somewhere in that timeline, the line between the roles he was playing and the reality he was living vanished.
Yes, the trajectory shifted definitively from performance to reality.
This brings us to the turning point. Section 3 of this analysis. The murders and the arrest.
The factual details of the crime that ended his freedom are documented. The date was July 1st, 1999.
1999, so he is about 30 years old at this point.
The location was Los Angeles.
And who were the victims?
The victims were two individuals named Annette Lewis and Percy Branch.
Annette Lewis and Percy Branch. And the nature of the crime.
It was a double homicide. The records indicate that Avery shot two random people.
Two random people. Random is such a terrifying word in this context. It implies there was no deep-seated feud, no prior connection, just a sudden catastrophic explosion of violence.
Mm-hmm.
Two people lost their lives, their families were destroyed, and the man holding the gun was a working Hollywood actor.
What is particularly notable about the timeline is the gap between the crime and the legal consequences.
Yeah, this is the part that is psychologically baffling to me.
As we discussed, he wrapped the film shot in 2001.
2 years later.
Correct. 2 years after the double homicide took place.
He kills two people, and then he just goes back to work. He is walking around learning lines, going to film sets.
It indicates a significant compartmentalization.
It is chilling. He was carrying the secret of a double murder while playing characters involved in street violence.
The legal process eventually caught up to him. Soon after wrapping the film shot in 2001, he was arrested and charged.
And the outcome of the trial?
He was eventually convicted of first-degree murder.
And the sentence?
He was sentenced to life in prison.
Life in prison. So the curtain closes on the acting career? The View Park days are gone.
He was remanded to the custody of the California Department of Corrections.
And he was not sent to a minimum security facility? He was sent to a very specific, very hardened place.
He was transferred to Pelican Bay State Prison.
Pelican Bay?
Yeah.
Located in Crescent City, California.
Yes. It is necessary to contextualize the environment of Pelican Bay based on the source events.
Please do, because it is vital to understanding the end of his life.
Pelican Bay is a high-security facility. It is specifically designed to house dangerous offenders. It is known for its intense security measures and the high threat level within its walls.
Right. It is designed for the inmates deemed too violent for the general population in other prisons.
It is a profoundly harsh environment.
You are surrounded by people who have nothing left to lose. It is about as far from his affluent upbringing as you can get.
It was within this specific environment that the final chapter of his life occurred.
The murder of Lloyd Avery II.
The date of his death was September 4th, 2005.
36 years old.
As established earlier. The cause of death was officially ruled a homicide.
He was murdered in custody.
Yes. Specifically, he was strangled.
Strangled. In a high-security cell. And we need to talk about the perpetrator because this brings a whole new level of darkness to the narrative.
The perpetrator was his cellmate, a man named Kevin Roby.
Kevin Roby.
Yeah.
To understand the sheer danger that Avery was placed in, we need the background on Roby.
Roby's presence in that facility is explained by his prior conviction. He was already serving a sentence of life without parole.
Life without parole. So he had committed an extreme offense.
Yes. He had been convicted of raping and murdering his own sister, Velma Lynn Hill, in 1987.
1987. So Roby had been in the system for a very long time.
He was a deeply entrenched and highly dangerous inmate.
He raped and murdered his own sister. That is the person Lloyd Avery II was locked in a cell with.
And the details of Avery's death indicate that it was not a standard altercation.
No, the sources point to a highly disturbing motive.
The strangulation of Lloyd Avery II was determined to be part of a satanic ritual conducted by Roby.
A satanic ritual. That implies preparation. It implies a deliberate, methodical act.
It underscores the severe psychological instability and the extreme threat level of the perpetrator.
To perform a ritual over a strangled cellmate in a supermax prison, it is horrific.
The administration officially lists the death as a homicide within the prison, but the ritualistic nature of the crime is a documented fact of the case.
So on September 4th, 2005, it all ends.
We
move into the post-mortem and the recent developments, because the story actually does not freeze in 2005.
Regarding his legacy and his family, it is important to note his survivors. He had a daughter named Adelia.
Adelia.
And regarding his final resting place, he is interred at Inglewood Park Cemetery.
So he is brought back to the Los Angeles area for burial.
Yes. That provides a sense of finality for his physical remains.
But the violence surrounding this case has not stopped. The source material provides a very recent update on his killer.
We can bring the timeline current to 2024.
Right.
Kevin Roby, the man who killed Avery, remains incarcerated.
Still in the California system.
Yes. In August 2024, he was incarcerated at the California Institution for Men.
So he was moved from Pelican Bay.
Correct. And while at the California Institution for Men in August 2024, Roby allegedly stabbed and injured a correctional officer.
Decades later, in 2024, he is still committing extreme acts of violence.
It illustrates a continuous pattern of violence that spans from 1987 right up to the present day.
It just highlights the absolute peril of the environment Avery was placed in.
It does.
It is time to summarize this. When we look at this full arc from Section 1 to now, it is an incredible tragedy of irony.
The structural irony of his life is profound.
A Beverly Hills High student, a water polo player, a music producer who is friends with Hollywood royalty. He becomes famous for playing a killer. Then he becomes a killer in reality. And finally, he is killed in a ritualistic prison murder by a man who killed his own sister.
To reiterate the timeline for absolute clarity, he was born in 1969. His film debut was in 1991. The double murders were committed in 1999.
He was convicted and sentenced to life.
And he died in 2005.
It is a massive waste. A tragic waste of talent and life.
From a sociological perspective, it serves as a grim example of life imitating art.
In the darkest way possible.
Yeah.
It forces you to look at those classic films differently. You see the human cost stretching out for decades, affecting the victims, Annette Lewis and Percy Branch, affecting Avery's family, and even continuing today with Kevin Roby's actions.
The data presents a very clear and very somber narrative.
It really does. It is a lot to process for you listening, but it is a vital piece of true crime and cinema history. And I'll leave you with one final thought. Consider how easily the lines between who we pretend to be and who we actually are can dissolve if we are not anchored.
A valid point of reflection.
Thanks for listening.